Oh my God. We're
Did you?
live.
We're live. Okay, let's check to be sure, because we're.
Let's check. Okay.
Wait, let's ask the chat. Hello, everyone. Can you please confirm
Hello,
that you can
everyone.
see us live? Yeah.
Bitte schreiben Sie jetzt. Bitte sagen Sie ja. Please say yes.
Ja, bitte scheinen Sie ja.
At least someone was sending a heart. So, yeah, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Let's go.
If one
Let's
thing
go, chat.
fails, it all fails. It's a stack of cards, everyone. So,
Okay, amazing. Hallo Ben, hallo die Antispeziesistin, hallo, 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 hallo. Okay, so let's go.
I'm gonna tell everybody also what I did. In case everybody doesn't know, I have a second YouTube channel where I post absolutely all the conversations I have on the street, all of them. And the one thing that I've been doing, which is I've been doing this for like 107 conversations. There have been so far that are posted or scheduled to be posted. And for every conversation I have, I create a transcript out of it. And then with that transcript, I put it into ChatGPT so that ChatGPT can help me generate titles so that I don't have to think about it or listen to it, because it's always kind of cringe to listen to your own conversations. But what the amazing outcome out of this is that ChatGPT has 107 of my conversations within that whole single thread that I have with ChatGPT. So what I did today was I asked ChatGPT to give me the top 10 arguments, the top 10 most used arguments against veganism, and then the top 3 best rebuttals and top 3 worst rebuttals that I gave in these conversations. And we're going to discuss these with Alexandra, and we're going to try to make them a little bit better. So let's see where it
Let's
goes.
go. I'm so excited. Yeah, and we also got some other points that we wanted to talk about, but I think that's the best one. That's the biggest one. So I'm really, really excited what you're gonna show me today. So yeah, let's go.
Okay. Okay. So the first thing, the top 5, the first 5 arguments. I'm going to start with the first one. I don't want to think about it. I don't care enough. Essentially, willful ignorance / moral apathy. My 3 best rebuttals were: I show the contradictions. You agree they feel and they don't want to die, so why doesn't that matter? Or if someone said the same about humans, would you accept it? So that's the second rebuttal. I mirror the logic back. And the third rebuttal is I highlight that choosing not to think is itself a choice. Not thinking about it doesn't make the harm disappear, it just hides it from you. So I guess
Yeah, I think
that's.
that's a really good one, actually. Like the willful ignorance, I mean, we all know about it. I think that's an easy cop out for most people. That once they say that, it's just like they do this, you know? And so I think for most people, it's the easiest way. So because their brain is saying like, oh, that's too complicated, I cannot face it. So let's escape it in the fastest way, and let's just not deal with like with your own contribution to that injustice in a way, yeah, with your own responsibility. So yeah.
Yeah, so the way I deal with this willful ignorance, the first thing I do, apparently ChatGPT says that the best rebuttal, or the one that yielded the best results, was um, to show the contradiction gently. So essentially that they feel that they don't want to die, so that should matter. And apparently that makes them confront the apathy directly. Yeah, and the worst thing I do is going deeper into the logic, because essentially they're already disengaged and they tune out instead of reflecting.
Yeah, I see. I think at these moments it can come in very handy to go on a more emotional route, since like people can understand stuff logically here and there, and even if they understand it because it's so simple, it doesn't mean that they will accept it. And so when they understand something that they won't accept, to me it feels like their emotions are not in it. And we are not only rational beings, we are emotional and sometimes rational beings. Mostly we're very irrational, and we just say that we are rational, but look at the state of the world. Obviously, we're not that rational. And so I think the emotional route is always something like in my opinion, especially in the end, when you feel like there's almost no hope with these people, it's the best route you can go. It's like really like emotionally manipulating or even like gaslighting them, but in the good way for the animals. I mean, I don't mind lying to people to save animals or whatever, or to gaslight people so that they just go vegan. I don't mind. I think we don't have to be like the saints when it comes to activism. We need to stop people exploiting these animals. And so I think I would push it very emotionally at this point, you know?
Okay, so by emotional, you mean like saying like what I'm saying sometimes, that would you like it if if you were in the position of the victim, or what do you mean by emotional?
Well, with emotional, I mean using your posture, the melody that you talk in, the volume that you talk at, the mimic and gestics that you do. I think we communicate in so many more ways than just talking, and I think it's really, really good when we are calm and confident, and when we are by ourselves and not losing it. I think that's the base that we should all achieve or try to achieve as activists, also for ourselves, that we don't burn out, of course. But sometimes I feel that an emotional reaction, for example, when you're like you're calm and confident the entire time, but in the end you're like, okay, man, come on, really? Do you really want to do that? Like, is that really the person you want to be for the rest of your life? Like, even saying it in a
Yeah.
more emotional way can open doors, because sometimes I feel that people are a little bit stuck and a little bit, I don't know how to say it, a little bit asleep almost, like in their entire existence. And sometimes I wish I just had a thing out of my pocket that goes like dirt, and then they're just like shook awake, and then out of the sudden you can talk to them and they can fucking be in the moment and be rational, and not just like hung up in their own excuses and shit like that. So I think the emotional part is something that we should not neglect in any way. And I think we can use it as a tool very much. Like, even if I don't, for example, even if there's a person in front of me that I don't like, when I feel that when I'm super friendly to them, and I feel that that brings them to understand it and to like me, so that they continue to listen, and also that they can identify with me more, of course I will be freaking amazing to them. You know what I mean? Even though I maybe don't think good about them in any way whatsoever.
So what you're saying is that we should find a way to get people to connect, because the apathy is just a little bit of
Yeah.
disconnection, including from with us. Like, it's a
Yeah.
disconnection also with us.
Yeah. And one of my strongest arguments when it comes to emotional tactics is that when people see and feel that this is very important to us, and that we are outraged about this injustice, when people feel it and hear it and they can see it, that this is not just like, I'm not going on the streets to sell you something, man. I'm not going on the streets because it's so much fun to do that. I'm going on the streets because this is so fucking urgent, and I'm so outraged, and I cannot believe the world is not vegan. These poor animals that we objectify, that we exploit to death. How can you not be outraged? How can you demand this, although you're educated now? And I think this emotional part, it needs to have a space in activism. It needs to be there because it will touch people. When something is not touching us, how it's supposed to touch others? If it seems like it's not a big deal to me, it won't be a big deal to others, in my opinion. And so my strongest tactic overall is always the one-on-one. We are on eye level now, and I say it into your face, the truth that you need to hear. Please, let's do it together. Let's abolish animal enslavement. I don't have time for you to wait and to do step-by-step shit. I don't have that. And I think when we explain it to people in a way that they can hear and feel, it goes a long way, along with great arguments, of course. Like, we need to have great arguments as the base, but I think emotions are a very strong tool too.
Do you think it's possible that for you it's easier to do this because, I mean,
I'm a woman.
you're cuter than me for sure. Like, I'm just like
I would debate that. I would debate it with the cuteness. Also, by the way, I hope my floor is not cracking too loud, but it's fucking loud, so
no,
cracking
no, no,
floor.
I can't hear it.
Um,
Okay.
I think, you know what, you also have an emotional side. And I heard it for quite some time now. And your emotional side is more on the begging side of things. And I think it's a very good strategy for a man too in
Mm,
this world that you're like, oh, come on, man. Come on, man. Do you really want to do that? Come on, these are just like innocent animals. You know what I mean? It's more on a
yeah,
begging side, but it's also a very emotional approach. And I think it's on the same route as I'm seeing it. So I don't think it's necessarily what kind of emotion you're using as a tool, but that you use them. That you're not like a robot in the street who is just like saying good arguments. Like people won't care. Otherwise, we could put an AI robot out there telling people that it's wrong to exploit other animals. Nobody will give a shit.
that would be
People need to
pretty good.
see that it would be pretty good, but I don't think, I mean, we don't have studies, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah, but I
yeah.
don't think it will be as effective as a human saying all these things and explaining them to you and really like shaking you awake, like emotionally, argumentatively, whatever you call it.
Okay, I agree
Yeah.
with you. So we with this argument we need to deal with it emotionally. I guess it makes sense because apathy, the only way to beat apathy is to be
Yeah.
emotional, not logical, and that's essentially what ChatGPT is also saying.
Yeah.
Or ChatGPT says one of the errors that I make is also going into industry details too early, because apathy isn't fixed with facts. With facts, it's fixed with moral framing. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I think for activism in general, it's, in my opinion, always the safer way to stick to the line of principle. I like to rather stick to the principle and talk about the principle than the practices that within the animal exploitation happens. I think it's very important to educate people about this, but I also think we need to be very mindful of how much of it we give as an information, because it could bring people, like they could think, oh, the way we do it is so wrong. We got to do it in a different way. The practice is the problem. Whereas we all know it's not the fucking practice, it's the principle behind it. And so I think when we stick to the principle for the most part and just give them a little bit of, here, this, by the way, this is the status quo, this is what we do with them, but the principle, and then you can talk about that a little bit more. I think that's a good advice from ChatGPT. Yeah, to not
okay,
info dump too much on them. I think that that was one of the biggest mistakes when I started doing activism, and I learned a lot about it, and I wanted other people to know all about it too, because it's so important. But also at the same time, when you info dump, most of the info they won't remember. It's just what it is. So keep it simple. It's my advice. Yeah.
kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Huh?
Yeah.
So
It's
we
like
can,
talking to children, maybe. Like it's like talking to children. Short sentences, simple shapes, easy metaphors, easy symbolic. So it's symbolic stuff.
yeah,
So yeah, yeah, we gotta keep it simple in a way.
I
But I
agree
mean it in
with
the
you.
best way possible. I mean, it's just like, yeah, it is what it is.
So we can move on to the next thing that most people use against the most argument that they use against veganism. But I think we should take like maybe two or three comments from people.
Yeah,
Um,
let's go.
let's go. So I'm gonna start with yours, and then like I don't know the ones in German. If you know what the ones in German
It's
mean.
fine. I will let you know when you gotta put one of these up. They're just all very nice. Yeah.
Okay. So then, if not, because I have some here. I think Skyjack Morgan said that people are no longer apathetic when they speak about slavery. When you speak about slavery, so if you call it slavery, people react a little bit more because they don't care. How do you feel about that? I can't find it now, but yeah,
Uh, I don't see it either. But yeah. Uh, well, I'm not a fan of not using the right words,
yeah.
but I also get the point that, yeah, for some people it can be a turn off, blah blah blah. But I don't care about these people. We gotta say it as it is. So I wouldn't hold myself back, especially in the German language, by the way. I don't know if you know about that, but in the German language we do have a second vocabulary for other animals that we explicitly just use for them, and it's all very demeaning. So it always means within the words that you're using that they are below us. So And I'm sorry against that. I think we should use the correct words all the time if possible.
So Sky says, I meant that people say they don't care about eating animals, but they do care about slavery and, oh damn, my plugin
Mm.
is failing, and cruelty.
Yeah, I mean, they might. They might. Yeah, to be honest, every time I'm saying that these animals are enslaved, I check the reaction of the people. And when people are not having like a bad reaction that I would expect, I'm explaining it a little further to them. I'm just asking them, or do you think that they're free from exploitation, free from slavery? And if so, what are these numbers in their ears then? Why are they considered our property that we can use as to our benefit as we please, as a mere means to an end, basically? And I think when we explain it a little bit, people will understand a little bit more. Um, and of course, it's not about that you eat an animal. That's not the issue. Like no vegan activist is saying that they have an issue with like the eating of the animal. Like there could be situations where it would be ethical to do so, even if disgusting, even if symbolic wise it's a bad thing still to eat someone else. I get it, but it's not about that. It's still about the principle and stuff. And for the explanation of the principle, we should not enslave others, period. And we should name it as it is, I think.
Yeah, I always when I name it slavery and I do that, I often end up with people just becoming defensive about it. So I think like in a situation where it's when they're apathetic towards it, I guess being defensive is a good sign because that just means that they show
Yeah.
some form of emotions towards it. So you kind of
Yeah.
connect them to the issue more. So yeah,
Yeah, I think having a reaction is always better than having no reaction with these people. So the people that really frustrate me are the ones that are completely unfazed. So I think it's a fair thing, and it's actually a good thing if they are triggered, angry, if they don't feel comfortable. Like hell, we are there to make them feel uncomfortable. I mean, what else are we supposed to do? I'm not there to make anyone feel good about animal exploitation, man. You should feel like shit.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. You
of
need to be
course.
uncomfortable to change, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. That's the whole deal about activism. I mean, it must be uncomfortable, even if you can like put it in a nice box or paint it with nice colors. What it should do within the other person should be a feeling of, damn, yeah, they're right. Damn, I need to change.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. And the next
Let's
one
move on.
is appeal to nature. It's
Oh my
natural.
God.
Animals eat other animals. Humans evolved this way. Okay, let me put it also here in the
It's so
text.
intellectual.
Yeah, it's the most
It's one
intellectual
of the
one.
most, yeah, I fucking hate it so much. But yeah, we gotta deal with it until we die. I swear to God, people won't stop with that.
To me, it's the worst. I think it's the worst logical fallacies people commit when it comes to, well, anything really. Appealing to nature is probably one of the worst.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it's stupid as fuck. Yeah,
so my best rebuttals are I distinguish natural from ethical. Lots of natural things are immoral. Nature isn't a moral guide. Hence, a lot of the times why I mention, grape. You point out we don't use nature in any other moral domain. We don't justify hurting humans because something is natural. And I also highlight the choice that lions can't choose, we can.
yeah. I mean, these are the same things that I'm saying because it's so obvious. It's just like the most obvious stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Skyjack Morgan says your glasses are unnatural. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. You know what? This morning I was so happy. Like I do have, I don't know if I told you about this, but I recently invested in an adjustable desk. So this is like the first desk of my life, and I'm actually standing right now, and it's
Heck
so
yeah.
fucking cool. I love it.
Let's
I
go.
love it so much.
Same.
And this morning, every morning I start with standing at the desk. I don't want to sit in the morning after I was laying in bed for 8 hours or whatever. And so when I went to the kitchen and I was making like a glass of water and just and I came back and I was so happy. I was just like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I don't have to be outside where it's fucking cold, that I have clothes on, that I'm just here and I have all these modern things like my headphones and the desk and computer to work with and stuff. And I was just like, man, how can people think that nature is anything, like the goal where we want to go to? It's just like I understand that it's pretty, that it can be nice to look at, but have you ever literally lived outside? Like who the fuck thinks that this would be an easy thing to do or a good thing that would be way better than being in a safe environment where you can like lock the door, be safe, have food, have all these things that you need. I don't get it. So it's and the natural fallacy is one of the most stupid things I've ever heard about.
I think
Truly.
I think a lot of people I think a lot of people agree with an appeal to nature being a fallacy or being wrong when it comes to everything but food. Because I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people think that what you put in your body needs to be natural, otherwise it's going to somehow harm you, which is factually false. Like we have several things that
Of
are
course it is.
artificial that are good for us. But like even water, theoretically, it's processed, isn't it? Water isn't
Yeah, of course it is.
the
It's highly
spring water
processed,
that
and
we
I'm
get.
glad about it. You
Yeah.
know what? In Berlin, we would actually have I mean, a really high amount of cocaine and MDMA in the water if it wouldn't be for them like to chemically erase it, to clean it, to filter it, to process it. So I'm actually very, very glad because otherwise everyone would have a tolerance, and that would be so bad.
I mean, fluoride is also put in water, right? I know there's a lot of people who
Yeah.
have issues with that, but it helps prevent gum
It
disease
helps. It
and
helps with it. Yeah, yeah, I know, I know. Yeah, so I think that's a really, really stupid argument, but also I think it comes from people romanticizing nature and from people watching too many Disney movies, probably, where like the princess is doing her laundry and all the animals help her, and there's a wonderful magical forest and it's a green pastures land and stuff. And I think people just have a romanticized version of nature in their head that is not holding up with anything that is based in reality. And that's the issue that comes from that. I mean, sometimes I'm just like, can you just think for 60 seconds, really hardly think about it actively? Like, does it make sense? Like, of course it's not making sense.
I mean,
It's just like,
wait, I got a comment
hi, Renee.
that I want to respond. Um, it's neurotoxic, you moron! Oh my god, it's so funny that you said it's neurotoxin toxic. What a good joke. No, it is considered safe. Any single thing, the dosage matters. So fluoride in the dosage that it is in water, it has absolutely no harmful effects. Yeah, and you also use toothpaste, right, which has fluoride. I hope you do
Yeah,
because it protects your gums.
yeah.
And oh, and somebody called me gay on this channel. If you call me gay, that means cool. So thank you for calling me cool. Let's move on to the next one. So
People really think they have a point sometimes.
yeah, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that they are okay. Wait, now that okay, I was at the second one. Let's move to the third one. And the third one, well, the second one was easy to rebuttal, right? Like appealing to nature is stupid. I like the taste. I don't want to give it up. While I type it, what do you think is the best way to tackle? I like the taste. I don't want to give it up. Or in other words, pleasure over morality.
Yeah, I think that's a very tough one because, of course, it's obvious logically that it doesn't make any sense to put pleasure above ethics or anything else above it at this point. But also, it's so hard because this pleasure thing is so wired into the brain and it makes people very irrational in their response to it. It's like talking to someone who smokes about how bad smoking is. I mean, my husband is the best example. We talk about it often, and he's still smoking. He's aware of it, and I was telling him, like, bro, Like, I want you to live long so I don't have to suffer when you go early. So can you please stop that? And he knows about that. He really wants to stop. But at the same time, this pleasure thing is so high in his brain that it's for him feeling like it's impossible to let go. So the weight is not evenly distributed in that balance when you think about it. We have ethical arguments and logic, which is like, oof, that's pretty heavy. Yeah, for sure. But then we have like the pleasure system in the brain that people are hooked up to, and that they think that they are too weak to fight against. So I think we should not underestimate how delusional people get when it comes to their pleasure system, because the brain is like, I want to keep the pleasure. Why the fuck should I let the pleasure go? Because of some words, because of some logical arguments, they don't have any pleasure to me. And so I think letting that go is very hard. And for me, of course, I can say all these logical things that we all know, like, oh, do you think it's worth to rob someone of their entire existence for 5 minutes of convenience and pleasure? Of course, that's so logical. It's not, yeah, we all know these arguments, but I think that fighting against their pleasure system is one of the hardest things to do. Like, if they're not believing that vegan stuff can taste good, oh, it's very hard to even get them to listen to you, because they're just like, nope, I don't want to give that up. I just don't. I want to feel that pleasure. I want to be hooked up to it. I want to smoke the next cigarette and the next one. Let me just smoke the next one. After that, I quit. Or let me just smoke today. After that, I quit. Oh, just after the holidays. Oh, next year I will quit. And it's the same for their fucking pleasure system when it comes to food pleasure and stuff. So I think that's a very tough one, actually, even if we have the arguments on our side. But sometimes I feel like, I know you've heard it, and I know you understand it logically, but I also know that your body is becoming highly irrational right now. And this is something they got to work on themselves. Like, how are we supposed to tackle that in 5 minutes? How?
That's true. Do you think that people who have tried vegan food, like good vegan food, because obviously you can also try kind of shitty vegan food, but the people who have
Yeah.
tried good vegan food are, because this is the third, like again, from 100 conversation, this is the third one that pops up. So it means it does pop up quite often. So do you think that the people who try good vegan food are more likely to not bring this up?
I'd say maybe. I mean, I don't know, but I'd say maybe from my own experience, like when I know that the alternative is a good alternative, of course, the weight suddenly changes on that balance. How do you say Waage? I don't know. I'm just gonna say Libra. How do you say that thing? Never
The
mind.
scale?
So the scale, there we go. So the weight suddenly changes. So if you have on the side of the good arguments and reasoning and rationality, there comes oh, there's also pleasure. There's also a lot of pleasure. Then of course it is so much easier out of the sudden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as long as people believe that it won't taste good, I think their fucking pleasure system in their brain is one of the hardest things to crack, honestly. Like, even when I understand, I think that's why people are not going vegan on the spot, because they don't want to miss out on feeling good.
Yeah.
And there is not much that will make people feel good except for the dopamine scrolling, hugging their husband or their friend or whatever, and food. And so they're addicted to their entire life. Basically, it's not a real addiction as we know, but it's very addictive to like food, to just like certain things.
And it's
Like your
understandably
brain is
so.
wired to it.
It's
Yeah.
understandably so. Like, I feel like so many people are
Yeah,
struggling these days, and if you get just a slight bit of pleasure from that one thing, it's kind of difficult for you to give it up.
that's true.
So what YouTube? Oh, sorry, what YouTube? Just what ChatGPT says that my best rebuttals are. You calmly highlight the moral trade-offs. So taste outweigh the whole existence of an animal, which you already
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, that's a standard one.
You use the human analogy, not extreme, just parallel. If you enjoyed something harmful, would liking it make it moral? For a human. So if human meat tasted good, would it be okay to exploit them, essentially? And three, you show that habits feel like needs. It's normal to struggle with change. That doesn't make the harm okay. Yeah, yeah. I noticed that when we mentioned that that hardness doesn't come um, from the change itself, but rather from um, the the pers- the is it perspe- the perception that change is
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah,
I think like
yeah.
people
That's true.
acknowledge a little bit more that it's easier. And the worst ones is listing vegan alternatives too early. It becomes a product conversation, not a moral one. Pushing
Yeah.
them toward veganism before they admit the contradiction, they shut down. And they didn't give me an example what that means, pushing them toward veganism before they admit the contradiction. And letting the conversation slide into personal choice phrasing, they hide behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The personal choice one is a really tough one too. Uh, I wanted to add something. I think when people, for example, when they say, "Yeah, I will try to be vegan from now on and not to eat that," um, I think that it's also like a cop out for them not starting right now, of course.
Yeah.
And I think we need to tell them because it's very pleasure based that reply from them. So they wouldn't say stuff like this if their pleasure part in the brain wouldn't be like, don't stop now. It's just like, not now. Any other time, but not now. And that's where these things come from. And when we catch people saying stuff like that, so yeah, I will try, blah, 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 I think we gotta point out to them that when they say stuff like that or when they think like that, it's already done. Like it's impossible for them to ever stop if it's just like that in their head because trying implicates that you might fail. But if you say that you will do it from now on, that changes also something in your brain that tells your brain, you know what? There's a change happening right now, nothing you can do about it. And then it becomes a little easier for you. I always say to the people, you know, your first step is actually saying right now that you will be vegan from now on, saying it out loud, because then you hear it yourself saying, and it becomes a little bit more real, you know. And maybe that works good against these people who are very stuck on taste and stuff. You know, they gotta make a hard, like, I don't want to say cold turkey, but you know what I mean. They gotta make a hard cut and do it. Just do it, like Nike said, like the slogan. Just do it. But they're right. Just do it. If you really want to do something, just do it. You know, you gotta stop. You gotta start. You gotta. But not trying it. It implies that you can fail. So why would you even say that?
Yeah. It's I learned in Atomic Habits, which was a really good book, that if you essentially want to be, like, say, a vegan, you just got to do what a vegan does, and you are vegan. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a little oversimplified because veganism essentially means, rejecting the
Yeah,
exploitation
yeah.
of animals. But yeah,
Yeah, just gotta reject it then. How's that so hard?
just got to
So,
reject it. So Felix has a
just gotta
question
reject
for
it.
you, Alexandra.
Okay,
Um,
let's go.
what do you think of people with eating disorders who only find comfort with animal products? How would you tackle people like that?
Well, I mean, I have my own experiences with eating disorders, to say the least, so I can relate to that. And I think it's a tough one because there's even more comfort bind to it and anxiety. It's not only the pleasure, but it's the safe space feeling kind of thing, you know. But I think that we are in a position where we have to explain those people, you know what, you don't have to be afraid about it, and you will find comfort foods that will give you what you need and what you're looking for. It might be inconvenient for a week or two, maybe. You gotta look through these things, you gotta try that out. But in the end, isn't it worth it? Isn't it worth it? Like, isn't it according to your values to do these things, to just take a slice of your life, a short time frame of 1 to 2 weeks, which is nothing in compared of how long you're here, and you use that time not thinking about your own anxiety, but also about the anxiety of the animals who go through shithole because of you, and then coming out stronger, better, and you still have a safe space, and you still have all these comfort foods, and you will get over it. And even if it's a little bit complicated or a little bit inconvenient, you will get through it. It is just food. Man, you don't have to fight a fucking tiger in an arena and 10,000 people watching you. It's not that. It's just food by the end. And let me tell you one thing, as a person who was really like having a lot of eating disorders, like I was underweight, I was overweight, so I've been through it all, okay? Once you understand that it's just food, it loses all its power. It loses it. Because for me, food was always, oh, it's the big calorie intake. Oh, it will make you look thinner or thicker, or maybe clear skin, or maybe more pimples, or depending on what you eat. You know, food has so much power, but when I give it more power, it can become overwhelming, and it can lead you into things that you don't want to do, actually, you know. And when you only stick with what feels comfortable, I don't think that you will be able to grow. And I know it sounds very harsh, but the only way I came out of my eating disorders was because I was just like, I cannot do it anymore. I will stop and I will change. And yeah, it was a little bit uncomfortable, but I made it, you know? So I rather try to speak positive to people and give them like more of a you can do it attitude at this moment than just accepting it, because it cannot be a good argument for continued exploitation just because you feel anxiety, or you're afraid of food, or you have strong habits, or you have this or that. You won't die changing your diet. It will feel mentally a little bit awkward maybe, but you will get through it. It's just food. It's not a fight against someone who will rip you apart or cut your head off. This is what we do to these animals for some foods. So how set it in relation, you know what I mean? And I think we can do it in a very nice and educational way without being dicks, with still considering the emotions of the other person, because I do understand it. And I do understand, especially with young women or young men who are having eating disorders and also mental health issues and stuff. Man, life can be so fucked up. I get it. But we are here because we are the lawyers of the animals. So we got to represent their case accordingly and still not d- dim it down just because someone has a little bit of an issue. And at the same time, it's our job to educate them accordingly so that they have the proper tools to overcome their anxiety and to overcome their fear of change and stuff, you know? And so, yeah, I think that's the route I would go.
Yeah, plus a lot of people I think forget, because I like this idea of it's just food. I really like it a lot. And I feel like a lot of people
Yeah.
also forget the fact that you probably don't like the same food you did as a child.
Of course not.
Of
Even 1 year ago.
Yeah, even 1 year ago, your taste changes even from year to year. It can change even from month to
Yeah.
month. So
Yeah.
to like, I think our taste receptors are one of the fastest changing things. Like I remember when I quit eating salty foods, it took me like a month, and afterwards, every single
Yeah.
thing that I tasted that was salty just felt way too salty for me. So
Yeah.
you change quite quickly, you adapt quite quickly to that. So I guess at the end of the day, you gotta ask yourself which side of it do you want to be on more than anything. Because if you're afraid, it's normal to be afraid of change, but you can definitely go through it. You just
Yeah.
gotta do it. Just do it. I like that. You just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
It can sound so mean to people, but I think it's the best advice that you can actually give. Just like to don't don't hide away from the things that are scary. Sometimes it's worth going through that to come out as a better person overall, especially when you stop exploiting other animals to death who really don't give a shit about your eating disorder, quite frankly. They just
yeah,
don't. Like they
it's
care
true.
about themselves, and maybe it's time that we also care about them at this point, you know?
100% agree. Um,
Yeah.
let's see if there's some chats comments that we wanna. Well, we highlighted one. Let's move on to the next one. We have a lot of them.
Yeah.
The next
Yeah.
one is it's just the food chain slash circle of life. Oh God, this one is it's the one that I hate the most. What are your best
Yeah,
rebuttals,
it's
Alexander?
I hate it so much. I hate it so much. It makes me so angry even hearing it. Because for me, I always can hear like I think these people watch too much Lion King. I think this was the first. I think it was really the first movie that actually said something about it's a circle of life. That's the fucking song. That's what our generation was watching as a child, and I think it's just a freaking stupid thought somebody put out there that doesn't make any sense. At least how people understand it, it doesn't make any sense. Circle of life doesn't mean that anyone is destined to be the food for someone else. Are you insane? Even thinking of that. Yeah, you are meant to be eaten by a tiger. Are you for real? Nobody is meant to be eaten by a tiger. How is that? Yeah, it's the circle of life. I think it's really something that is so extraordinarily stupid. Especially when you explain it very well what it actually is. It's like the
Yeah.
conversion of energy from one to another
The food
subject
chain. Yeah.
or object. Yeah, the food chain. So you have a lot of energy at the top, and then it trickles down and becomes less and less because the cow eats a lot of grass. Somebody eats the cow, and then the energy that there is energy lost on the way, and that's basically what it is, like the pyramid, like the circle of life, whatever. Um, but I'm also thinking about these people. I'm just like, okay, so when you're for the circle of life, like, would you go to the doctor if you're like sick or about to die? Would you take medicine? Because otherwise, you're not really living it, you know? You're not really living up to your own standards of circle of life, being that, well, if you got a sickness, if somebody is like hurting you or your child, there's circle of life. There you go.
I
Shouldn't work against that then, I guess. It's so stupid, really.
I think it's an is-ought fallacy at its core. I think it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, it's true.
acknowledging it's just
It's
acknowledging
true.
that hey, this is how things are in general. Do I like them? No, not really. But it's the
Yeah.
circle of life. It's the food chain. It's come on, like it is what it is. What can we do about it? And it's one of
Yeah.
those like okay, we understand that that's how it is. We're just saying it
But
shouldn't be that
should
way.
it be like this?
Yeah.
Should it be like this? Yeah, it's a question of values that we're asking those people, but people always like to derail about the how complicated it is, but other people, society in general, no ethical consumption under capitalism. Look what other animals do. It's just like, it's not about how the world is, about the status quo, what you do or how hard something is. It's just a value question. And so, of course, no animal should be the food for another animal. Heck no. Why should we want that if we can also say it should not be like that? It would be better for everyone if nobody would be hunted down and eaten by someone else. I mean, what's the question here?
Yeah, and every time we see a documentary, because when you see, is it Rowan Atkinson that makes that voice? Check the
I don't know.
lion. Yeah, this British guy. I think it's him. And by the way, he's vegan,
It's
everybody. So if you like him, he's vegan. Well, no, I think Rowan
you
Atkinson
don't
is
mean
Mr. Bean.
David Attenborough? You don't mean
David
him or
Attenborough.
David?
David Attenborough. Yeah, sorry, sorry.
Yeah,
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 Rowan
yeah, yeah,
Atkinson
I
is
get it.
Mr. Bean. Okay, so David, yeah, he makes this like he's vegan, right? As far as I know, by
I
the way.
don't think that he is. I don't
No,
think that he is.
he
I
makes a
don't think
lot
that
of
he is.
these vegan statements, though. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, but Chip,
Yeah.
you're not here the first day in this game, so what do
Yeah,
you
yeah, I know.
expect?
I know. So many people say animals should be
Even most
respected.
vegans are not really vegan, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
crazy. And we gotta assume that nobody is vegan at this point. Literally nobody.
The thing is, when people see these documentaries and they see lions killing a gazelle or something,
Yeah.
they're never like saying, "Yeah, you go. Yeah, I want to see violence." They always like most people they cringe and they go like, "Oh no, I hope they get away," and then you're happy if they get away or something. That's why in the documentaries
Yeah.
they only show the cases, or they mostly show the cases when they go away, and then they show some afterthought what happened to the ones that they didn't. They never actually show the
Yeah.
violence or stuff behind it because nobody likes it. So this
Yeah.
calling it a food chain or a circle of life and saying that's how it is kind of silly because again, like the whole point is we don't want it to be that way. We don't want that to happen. We think that it cannot. You can choose for it to not to happen, and there's no reason for it to happen. Um,
Yeah, and
and
yeah, I'm sorry.
no,
Continue.
go on.
Yeah, and also like if a predator animal is hunting down a human child, like people would not say, "Oh, it's okay, it's a circle of life." They would just not say that. So, and them saying that, "Oh, but we are humans and we can do that to other animals because in nature other," it is so fucking stupid. I really don't get it. It's one of the worst arguments ever. How can anything be that stupid?
Yeah.
Just imagine some non-vegans being like on a safari, and then a lion just like catches their 2-year-old child, runs away, and the safari guide is just like, oh no, we should look for help. We gotta rescue that little child. And the parents are like, oh nah, it's a circle of life, man. What are you saying? We eat meat too, so let the lion have our child. We don't care. It's a circle of life. Imagine, like, but that's the exact same logic. It's so wild.
Yeah,
It's so wild.
and as Felek so well put it, food chain also includes animals dying of starvation. So should we do the same with people? When people die of starvation, we just call it the food chain. I mean, Felek is right, but sadly, there are a lot of people here, I'm sure,
Yeah.
including in this chat, who believe that homeless people are homeless by choice or something. So
Oh my God.
yeah, yeah. So
The world
there,
is so fucked up. Honestly, if you're out there and if you really think that, man, I wish you all the best.
sadly. So my three best rebuttals are
Let's go.
describing what the food chain is, as you mentioned. That's the number one, and I
Yeah.
think it does yield the best outcome. Number two, breeding. Oh, wait, the alert. I need to put it on top. Give me a second. Okay, number two. Thank you so much, Renee. I'll read it out loud in a second. Breeding, confinement, forced impregnation. This isn't nature. So,
Mhm.
what we do to
I think
animals.
that's a wee one. Yeah.
Yeah, I also don't find it like a great one because then they bring up a lot of the
Yeah.
times they bring up well hunting or stuff, right? So, and that's not the point.
Yeah, or the natural breeding stuff on farms that happens in 0.01%, where they actually have a bull that is jumping on a cow and is hurting her most of the time. Oh, it's so natural.
Alexandra,
Like I don't
I still think of that guy we
I don't
saw
think
at the goat farm, the
Oh,
guy
yeah, I
tied
was
in the
thinking
corner.
about him lately too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking about him too lately. Yeah, I will put him in my movie for sure, in my film that I'm working on. It was such a sad day. I was even crying on my way back on a train thinking about him because I was like, well, I'm going home right now. I'm going home to my husband with my cats, and this goat will be chained up and alone and isolated forever, probably, just used for procreation.
that's
It's so
insane.
sad. He might be still be there. I mean,
Well, no, he was probably killed. There's another one there, probably.
yeah. Ugh, man. That's what we call Demeter. Yeah, guys. Demeter farm. Such bullshit. In German, we have a word. I don't know what it is. Oh yeah. No. It's called Schwurbler. Schwurbler-Verein. Also auf jeden Fall Demeter, absoluter Schwurbler-Verein. Jeder, der das hier hören kann. I just wanted to say. They're just like not even professionally good in any way whatsoever. The things that they believe on a Demeter farm, I think I told you already in the past.
I saw
Um,
that. Yeah.
like magic stuff. Like when you have a horn of a cow and you put the poop of another animal and then you put it into the ground for 6 months, and when it's full moon you take it out and you put it into water and you turn it clockwise for 3 hours until the next morning, and then you put that on your plants. Your plants will grow rapidly. It's so fucking insane. And people are buying that. People really think that it's a good thing. What the fuck, man?
It's the
It's like
circle.
made from a con artist.
It's the circle of agriculture. It's how you do it. You
Yeah,
gotta go clockwise or anti-clockwise. If you go anti-clockwise, you're gonna be fucked.
yeah, you
Renee
gotta dig up some horns once in a while, filled with shit. So,
Renee also brings up an excellent point. He says, "I think people also like to idolize nature and carnivores because by framing the extreme of the scale, it makes their own actions more digestible." And that's an actually great point. I didn't think about it that way.
that's true.
They bring up
Yeah.
this so that their whole thing no longer seems as absurd or as unnatural.
Yeah.
And we have one question for you, Alexandra.
Let's
Um,
go.
I'm pretty sure. What do you think about David Ciarina's? I can't find it now. I saw it somewhere just a moment
Who
ago.
was asking the question? Can I have the username?
The vegan anthem.
Ah, I see. Okay, because there's some other people that I just don't want to engage with, and I think you
Okay,
don't
let's
have
not
them
engage with
blocked.
them. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure about that one, but there are other people, and I'm sure you don't have them blocked, but I have a very strong block list with some people because they're annoying the shit out of me. And about David, he has some points, but also he has some points not. That's all I
Completely
can say.
agree. Yeah. Um, okay. Oh, I had one more point that was strong for this one.
Yeah.
You emphasize capability plus responsibility. Being on top gives us more responsibility, not less. Also a
Yeah.
good point. Yeah. Just because we're on top doesn't
Yeah.
mean. And the weakest rebuttals, it says talking about environment slash climate. I guess I went there once or twice. I don't remember. Using too many industry terms. I also don't know what that means. And letting them steer
Um,
into prehistoric humans. Huge
yeah.
huge time sink with low payoff. Oh, prehistoric humans. Yeah,
What was the second one?
using too many industry terms.
Ah, I see. Yeah, we gotta be a little bit mindful. I think it's the same issue in the German-speaking countries. We gotta be a little bit mindful of the words that we're using so that people will still understand us. I mean, it's very nice to use words that we understand as activists because we are so into it in the whole topic of it. But sometimes I feel like we are talking to children that have never heard about this before. And so sometimes, even though we've said it 300 times and we know what this is all about, other people might not. So I think that's actually a good thing that we should keep in mind. Keep it simple. No, don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
And actually, I just wanted to say something in between. You know, we are like not not we, but my podcast partner actually came up with an activism form that is focused on children and outreaching children and stuff.
Ooh.
And because of that, he was working out on a flyer. I will translate it and then you can have it. It's a really good one. And it's
Yes.
simple language for children, not enough, not much text, very easy. Oh, let me just show you real quick. Hold on 1 second.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. That's just like the first draft. It looks way better right now, okay? So that's just like the first draft. So you can see it's not much text. It's yeah, you have a little quiz, and it says like what do you think? Should we be fair or mean to other animals? And then you can just like be fair, be mean. It's very, very simple. And there was one situation last week where I was on the bus and there was a woman with her daughter, and I saw them and I was like, it would be a missed opportunity to not give them a flyer like this. So come on. So I just put it out of my backpack and I was giving it to her and I was like, here's a flyer for you and your daughter. Have fun reading it. I'm an activist. Have a wonderful day. So she jumped out of the bus with her daughter, and I was still on the bus and I was looking at them from the inside and they were walking really slow. And the mother was opening the flyer. She was reading it and then she stopped. She was reading it and she was showing it to her daughter actually. And they were talking about it on the spot. So I think when we still have in mind that we not overcomplicate it, but keep it simple, people will be a little bit more open to get it, to understand it. Also, because it's a very intellectual issue when you really think about it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
ethics. Of course, it's intellectual by default. And we cannot expect people to understand something that they are not able to understand. When we went vegan many years ago, my way of thinking was so different from the way that I think right now about things because I learned how to critically think due to becoming vegan and thinking about these things. I was not able to do that before. I was not able because I've never done it. And if you've never done something, you're not good at it, of course. And so, keeping in mind that people are simple, uneducated children, I think that's the main thing. So we don't have to talk about industry, standards in a very complicated way. We don't have to use the very complicated words for them that they might not even know or know what it means. I think the simpler it is, the more simple,
The
it must
simpler.
be simple. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, it must be simple. And also, I was working on a new flyer in general that is more for adults. And I had all these things in mind, and I think it's the best flyer yet. And I can't wait to show you. I finalized it today, and it will be amazing. And I think it will be very good for vegans and non-vegans alike because it's aimed at adults who are not vegan and or not activist yet. And it's a very simple funneling, a very simple language, a very simple so there is actually nothing to misunderstand, to not get. And I think with my first flyer that you're also using, I just want to show it for the people watching. 1 second.
Yeah. So Felek asks, does Alexandra have a UK version of those vegan flyers? So Felek, Alexandra
Yes.
just mentioned she's gonna make an English version and she's gonna send it. I think you can also download.
Exactly.
He can download it from your website, right?
Yes. I just want to say I'm working on a big, big, big update on our website and activist materials, and everything will roll out in 2026. So you will all like pass out, I think, when you see it. It's amazing. It's just like the biggest update ever. I just want to say, and then you will also have new flyers and everything. So, but the old one that you're using, I mean, just when you see it in comparison, it's so much text. It is so much text that even for me, I don't want to read it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's good what's in there. I mean, it makes sense, but it's too intellectual. It's too complicated. And even when you have the comparison to this, way better to understand, way better to digest with your eyes, with your mind, with everything. And I think we really got to work on our strategies in bringing information to people. It's not enough to just like info dump. They don't know what to do with this information. They don't know how to think about things. Yeah. Sorry for the rambling, but it's so important, I think.
No. It's a great value. I think a lot of vegans would like that flyer. It's a really good flyer to have.
Yeah, and the new ones, yeah, it's English as well. It's English and German, one flyer I made, so it's double language, and it's the best flyer I've ever made. So I can't wait to show you later. Yeah.
Looking forward for that. Yeah, there's a lot of ridiculous comments. I'm not gonna go through the ridiculous ones. Let's just go to the next one, to the next most used argument against veganism. Humans are more important. Animals don't have the same value.
It makes me so angry to hear that. You're just bringing up these arguments that make me so angry when I hear them, but I try to stay calm all the time. Yeah, what are your replies to that?
1 second, let me align this text in.
Yeah.
What are my replies to this when people say humans are more important? Well, I isolate the morally relevant trait. If the ability to feel pain is the same, why is the moral value different? I guess I never mentioned feeling pain. I always just mentioned sentience. I guess ChatGPT just derived that as to mean feeling pain. You expose the arbitrary line drawing. Which trait makes a big difference? Which trait makes a being deserve less moral consideration? This never has an answer. Yeah, so essentially kind of like entity around entity.
Yeah.
And you use a thought experiment. If you were born as that animal, would you want this done to you? It hits hard. Yeah. It's difficult, right? Because I also sometimes explain I guess ChatGPT didn't pick this one up, but a lot of the times I explain the difference between extrinsic value and intrinsic value, and why you can't derive morality based on extrinsic value, because that just makes it as arbitrary as it can be. And nobody wants to live in a society where value is derived extrinsically, because if that happens, then, well, everybody's in danger then, right? Because somebody may say, well, you value nothing to me and I can just cut your throat. So yeah, how do you deal with when this comes out?
Yeah, I think the intrinsic versus extrinsic value is a good one. When somebody is saying something like this, like it's such a human supremacy comment, and I always go straight entity. Like for me, anything else is not making any sense in that conversation. Like I want to know what the difference is that justifies the difference in treatment. I just gotta know. Because if somebody is making that claim, it means that in their head, there is something about the other group that they deem inferior. And I want to know what it is. Oh man, it just reminds me of the feminism guy that said that women are inferior, right to my face. It was so disgusting yesterday. Oh my God. And it's on the same level. It's just like, okay, if it's like this, name the trait that makes this difference. Like, you just got to point to it, because there must be something about these individuals that makes it okay to do these things to them. And NTT, in my opinion, is still one of the strongest tactics that we can use in a conversation, because it is the issue. It is boiling it down to what, like, this is the base of why the world is not vegan.
Yeah.
NTT, basically. And when we got to figure that out, and when we learn how to use that, I think it's the best approach still. Hence why I do the NTT backwards approach for months now in my live streams, because it's just so good. You cannot come back from that. Once you acknowledge that, yeah, it's so stupid to discriminate others based on intelligence or the amount of hair that they have, the languages that they can speak, the DNA molecules in their body. It's so stupid because they can feel what is done to them. They experience the exploitation and stuff. And once people acknowledge that, and then you hit the question, so what about the other animals? Should we exploit them? Is that fair to them? There is no way you can go back. Because if so, you can ask, okay, what's the trait then? What is it? We talked about a lot of them. And it's the same with the humans supremacy thing, that humans are superior. It's just like, okay, what's the superiority that justifies that? And so for me, it's no other. I don't think I've ever said anything else beside entity as an answer.
I
Yeah.
don't think there is any superiority, but when you called it reverse entity, what do you mean by that?
Oh, my outreach, that, with the blue sign that says test yourself now, fair or
Oh,
unfair.
yeah,
And I start with all the traits, and I go through the
yeah,
traits.
yeah.
Should the powerful have the right to oppress the powerless? And then you go through all the traits. But what if they're stronger than you, more clever than you, if they have pointy ears, different skin color, whatsoever? And they all agree. All of them agree. No, we should not do that. It's not fair. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. And then you hit the question about the other animals. And then there's no going back, because then it's just like, well, yeah, you're right. And the funny thing is, I think I should do the same, take all my transcripts from these outreaches and let them be analyzed too. Because from my experience, honestly, 95% agree. They just agree. If they change, it's another thing. But when you do it like this, all of them, most of them, almost all of them say, well, yeah, no, we shouldn't do that. And that's exactly what we want to hear. We want
Yeah.
people to admit it publicly in front of a camera, in front of a stranger, that what they do is wrong, even if they don't change on the spot. But it's something that it's a big thing for them too, to admit that.
I feel like it's true. It's just that a lot of people, as we said, we have to talk to them kind of like how we do to babies.
Yeah.
So entity isn't really babyish, right? Entity is very difficult for a lot of people to understand.
Is
Like,
it? I don't think so, because when you break it down with images and simple questions, I think it's so
yeah,
easy. I
images
think
help.
it's so easy. Yeah, and that's why the sign, when you point at it, you cannot misunderstand it. It's just like, look, two individuals, they're very different, but are these differences relevant? No, of course not. Nobody gives a shit about that. Like, we should not discriminate them. So I think with images and with a simple rhetoric, I think it's a good one. That's why I also boiled it down to fair or unfair, because I cannot. Sometimes I think people don't understand what exploitation really means, and they're just like, I'm exploited too when I go working in my office job 40 hours a day. I feel so It's not on the same level, man. Come on. They put themselves on the same level as a fucking dairy cow. Are you insane? And so I think easy words like fair and unfair are, at the moment, my go-to.
But Alexandra, Felipe393 says, if I bought a sheep, I should be able to eat it.
Oh, that's such a good argument. Oh my God, guys, we just debunked veganism. Holy shit.
Yeah. And
Holy shit.
and 21, D8B, who was very, very upset in the chat that we're not responding to their chat, says, so what shall we do for Christmas, Chip? What shall we do for Christmas, Chip? Are you telling me I'm not going to be able to slaughter and kill, like exploit and slaughter several animals? Are you telling me there's going to be tofu on my dinner table?
Oh my God. you must live such a miserable life. It must be so hard. It must be so hard to think about how you celebrate your Christmas, your time of the year where you spend your days with your family and friends. Everyone is around. You can make choices, and you have a warm roof over your head. Like you have such a nice place to be, and you think about what to eat because you have the freedom of choice. Oh man, such a hard life, such a life. You're such a poor individual. Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
but Alexandra, no ham, says Vinplesia. No
Sorry, I don't know
ham.
what ham is.
But
Can you translate that into the normal terms? I really don't know what ham is.
like, is that like like, should I tell you what ham is, or is it like
I think isn't it that that's the person, like I think they mean like a pig that was exploited to death, put in the gas chamber with their head decapitated. I think that's what they wanted to say, right?
yeah, yeah, that's exactly what
Just
they wanted to say.
I
Yeah,
just I just misheard it like
because
ham. I don't know what
otherwise,
that is.
otherwise there's plant-based ham, which is excellent. So I don't
Oh
see
yeah,
why
I
you
know
would.
what that is. That's tasty.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure why you would
Yeah,
want an animal to be exploited and slaughtered for you when you can choose not to. But you,
it's
here,
insane.
here you
Yeah.
go. Like all you non-vegans in the chat, you can explain to us why would you exploit an innocent animal when you don't need to, when you can get taste pleasure and nutrition from something else. Um, okay, okay. The next one, number
Yeah, let's
six.
go.
It's my personal choice.
Oh my God.
They're all annoying, Alexander. They're all annoying.
Yeah,
They're
they're
the
all
worst.
annoying, and it's a little bit frustrating because I cannot make anyone vegan right now. You're already vegan, but you say all these stupid things to me.
Okay, wait, I'll pretend to not be
No,
vegan.
no, 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 it's fine, it's fine.
I can do it. I can do
No,
it. I can do it.
don't
I can do
do
it.
it. Don't make it worse. Don't make it worse.
But Alexandra, it's my choice. Come on, it's my
That's
choice.
such a clever argument. That's such okay. To about that. It is a personal choice. It is indeed. But let me tell you, it's a very shitty one because it involves a victim.
Says you, the vegan.
Yeah, exactly. Me, the vegan.
Sorry, I can't do
Such a
that.
good argument.
Such a good
Yeah, but I
argument.
think when people say stuff like this, I also hear it. I don't want to say wrong, but in my opinion, it's not very well phrased when vegans say it's not a personal choice. Well, it is. It is literally a choice someone makes. And there are choices that are personal and not personal. For example, being born is not a personal choice. I didn't make that choice. Heck, my parents did that. But a lot of things I do in my life are personal choices. I decide to do that. And of course, if people decide to not be vegan, it is their personal choice, of course, as much as it's a personal choice to grape someone or to kidnap a child and lock it up in your basement to use it for whatever. It's a personal
Yeah.
choice, yeah. But I think we should understand that it's time to question bad personal choices that fuck up somebody else's existence. And so, not being vegan would be one of these personal choices that is fucking up somebody else's existence. And also, I always like to point out that when I'm doing outreach or like talking to non vegans in general, you know, this is not an exchange of opinions. This is not an exchange of opinions at all. My opinion, my position is so clear. It's not on the table to discuss. I'm living vegan. I don't have to justify myself in front of anyone. I'm not talking about my opinion and my values. That's not up for debate. That's not on the table. The only thing I care about is what you, as the non vegan, are saying about this. What is your opinion? What are your values? Does it make sense in your own moral system to not be vegan? And for most cases, it just doesn't make sense because most people are not fucking idiots who like to exploit animals to death. Most of them are just raised in that way, used to that, indoctrinated. They have brain fog going on, cognitive dissonance and all that stuff. And so I don't even blame most of them, but I blame ignorant pieces of shit, and there is also a lot of them out there. So it's okay also to be that kind of activist and to call them out. I'm really, really in favor of that, by the way, in case you didn't know yet. But to that personal choice and personal opinion thing, We should tell them, yes, you are right. It is your personal choice. Why are you not making a better choice if you can make it? If you are the one in charge, why are you not making a better choice then if it's your personal choice? And that would be actually the best answer in my opinion.
Yeah, it's acknowledging that it is
Yeah.
indeed a personal choice. Like nobody's debating whether it's a choice or not. What all we're saying
Yeah,
is that this choice is not in line with your own values, and perhaps you should reconsider
exactly.
your choice. Like it's another is ought
Exactly.
fallacy at the end of the day. It's just, oh yeah, it's a personal
Yeah.
choice. Yeah, that's what it is. Question is, should it be a personal choice? Because
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's like we gotta understand as activists when we talk about these things, there are two words, normative and descriptive. So normative, what it should be, like in a perfect world, and descriptive to describe it as it is. And we gotta understand that there is a line in between that. And we are only talking about the normative stuff. So we have to ask normative questions or make normative statements about things. But also, I rather stick to questions because every statement you put out there is something that the non vegan can attack in general. So that's why I try to only ask questions or have short sentences that they cannot debunk just to make it myself a little easier.
I get that. And a lot of the
Yeah.
problem is that a lot of the times when you ask questions and you're trying to direct, well, we're asking questions trying to direct them to understand the argument, to understand the perspective. Because when you're so stuck up in this perspective that you've been your whole life, it will be difficult for you to understand this other perspective unless you go through it. But
Exactly.
there's people out there who just get defensive from the start, who feel like, oh, you're guiding me in a direction and I don't like it. How do you deal with that?
Uh, what do you mean? Like when people say that? Oh, what I hear very often, actually, or not that often, but I hear it from time to time, is these are, how do you say? Oh my God, I'm missing the word right now. Like questions that hint to an answer that you're looking for. Um, how do you say it? René, Hilfe. Sorry, someone German can help me right now. Ich weiß gar nicht, was sein. Suggestivfragen. Ah ja, suggestive questions. Sorry, everyone. Suggestive. Thank you, René. Ja, ja. People are telling me, well, the way you are asking these questions, these are suggestive questions.
Yeah. The
And
way
of
you ask
course, I
them.
can only give you the answers that you want to hear right now. And it's just like, bro, if I would rephrase the question and replace other animals with human children, you would be so freaking quick to answer that question, not calling it a suggestive question, but it's because these are not humans that out of the sudden you have a problem with the question. So when I ask you, is it okay to breed humans into existence, to fatten them up and to decapitate them so we can chop them up and sell their bodies and eat them? It wouldn't be a suggestive question. You would say it's fucked up. We should not do that, right? But
Yeah.
once you rephrase it with the other animals, people are saying stuff like this. So I think the best way to reply to that is to make the entity and to point it out as I just did. It's just like, bro, it's not a suggestive question. You just don't like your own answer to this question. And you gotta think about that for a second. You don't like your own answer to this question. What does it mean? It means you have good values and you should change, God damn it.
I usually reassure them that there's no gotcha that's about to happen, and that yes, I am leading them to some place, but first and foremost, I need
Yeah,
to understand, to ask these simple questions to see that we're all on the same page. Because believe it or not,
exactly.
there are several people out there who are not on the same page, who answer differently to these questions. Like there's people, when I
Yeah,
ask them, should the powerful have the right to oppress the powerless? The first question, Alexandra, when you ask them, they go,
I know.
"It depends."
I know,
Excuse
I
me?
know. I've heard it. I've heard it too, and I'm always like, okay. I think you just think about if you have power, if you should use it to protect someone, right? You're not a psychopath, right? And it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah. It's crazy. I've had the same with the first question, and I'm just like, okay, I don't. Sometimes you know from the get go if a conversation is worthwhile or not.
I have a question over here. Would you arrest animals for killing since we are treating them equally? So first of all, that's a
No.
straw man fallacy, Philip.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody mentioned treating animals equally. We just mentioned do not exploit and slaughter them. I think that's a bare minimum you can do. Nobody's telling you to give animals the right to vote. Nobody's telling you protect animals. Nobody's telling you, give them shelter or food. We're just saying do not exploit and slaughter them. Leave them alone. Let them do their thing. That's as simple as that. So
What a
that
mind-blowing concept.
it's so difficult, Alexandra, for them to understand this. It's very difficult.
I know. It's to me, honestly, after so many years of being vegan activist too, there are still days where I cannot wrap my head around it because it's so simple to understand, and yet people act as if it's like a rocket science what we're talking about. And there are like so many people making up so many excuses. Like there was even one guy at online debates, and he's talking to all of them. Wait a second, you talked to him too. That guy who was just like, well, they have a potential, but they still have a potential. How can you come up with this shit, bro? How like people come up with the weirdest stuff to justify this easy to identify atrocity. Chopping someone's head off or not? I mean,
I often like to think about what's going on in their head and how they're in that position. How can they be in that position where they justify it? Because like the reason why we have these conversations is to kind of curb these justifications. So it's not it's essentially to bring you back on track. And when people come up with these excuses that, well, like somebody said, not right now, if other animals can eat meat, why can't I eat meat? Or some bullshit nonsense like that.
yeah,
I'm, I'm like, okay, but you understand that that's not the point. Like, we already discussed how to tackle this argument, but I'm trying to think what exactly is going through their mind. Because by the way, this person who mentioned this also brought up several other ridiculous arguments. So I just feel like when people bring up so many arguments that they're essentially already disengaged, and they don't really care about hearing the argument,
yeah.
understanding it. They're just like, oh, wait, Renee, thank you so much. Moral agent versus moral patient, adult versus child. 100%. So when people are making this argument, they're no longer really understanding. They're no longer interested in the conversation. They're just trying to come up with excuses more than anything, I feel. And it's kind of sad because, like, Felipe, you claim that you're listening and you came up with all of these excuses. At the end of the day, it's pretty easy for you. You can choose. You make this choice every single time you eat something, every single time you buy clothes, every single time whatever it is that you're paying for, whatever it is that you're supporting, you're faced with the choice to support either an option that exploits an animal or an option that doesn't. You can choose to stop and choose the one that doesn't. Because anything that you claim on your side is difficult, on your side it's not as good, on your side you've always been doing it, all these arguments that you bring pale into comparison if you think about the victim's position. And knowing that you can be healthy and thriving with your choice, then everything else is just selfish if you choose to continue making that choice.
Preach. That's that.
Preach. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Next one.
Let's move on.
Not all farms are bad. Some animals have a good life.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Up until the point, I mean, until they're born into slavery and exploitation and kidnapped from their mothers most of the time and sent to concentration camps to be unalived in many different ways, in the worst ways that we can think about. Up until this point, I think farms, yeah, they can surely give them like a good life. I wouldn't even say that this is wrong. Even it is wrong most of the time, if we're really honest. But let's assume I always like to put up a steel man. So steel man is the opposite of a straw man. It just means that we take the strongest argument of our opponent and we attack it. So let's assume that we have the best possible farm. They have the best food, the best life, the best environment, the best kidnapping, the best exploitation, the best stabbing to death, the best, everything is just the best, yeah? So still within that, it would still be an unjust use. It would still be unfair to do that to them. Why? Because it's not in their interest. And the question about their interest is so important because we can relate to that. We also have interests, and the biggest interest is what we have in common with these animals. It's first and foremost the interest in continuing to live, hence why animals run away from predators, hence why we go to the doctor. We don't want to die right now. Of course, suicidal people are out there, but this is not the rule, but it's the exception. And so, to taking their interests into consideration, I think is the biggest argument that we have. That even if we have the best exploitative situation, the best practices, the best of the best, it would still not achieve the threshold of it being fair and in their interest, because it's not. Like chopping someone's head off is not in their interest. It just isn't. Being born into exploitation and being used as a resource is not in anyone's interest. And so that's how I would debunk it always. Put a steel man out there and say, like, yeah, you're right. Okay, let's assume the best of the best of the best and let's play that through. Because when they agree onto that and when they understand that, everything else falls in line. Hence why I never talk about, how do you say, factory farming. I never talk about money. I never talk about all these things that don't matter. They don't matter. It's just about the interest of the animal in the end, and if it's in their interest or not. If it's having them in mind or not, but not in a way that we just use them as a means to an end. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. A lot of the times I just bring up in that situation, and maybe that's the wrong position to do. I always bring up, well, most often I bring up, yeah, but even in a good farm, they still get killed. They still get treated like an object. They still are used for their body and not for their interests are not respected, essentially. I guess what I'm trying to say the same. Maybe I should use this more often, this phrase, as you
Do you
mentioned it also.
see? Yeah, I'm sorry, but do you see the funny comments on my chat too? Or
Wait, oh.
do I just only see them?
Oh no, I
Somebody
see
is
them.
really angry.
Do wait, Garnix. Life is not fair. Do you know how animals die in nature? Does you know what the hell is going on in the real world? Do you, Alexandra? Do you know what the hell is going on? Wait, let me try, because I feel like the weight Garnex is more of a higher pitched person.
No, I've never thought about any of it. I
Yeah.
never thought, the past 7 years of my life, I've never even thought about what animals go through in the wild. It never happens to be a thought in my brain, the 24/7 that I'm working on that. I never thought about that. Such a good argument. Oh my God, this person is so angry. He's only
They're
writing
really
in caps
triggered,
lock.
I
It's
see
so
that.
fucking funny. He
Many
even called
animals
me.
use the other animals for their advantage. She is the biggest bullshit taker ever. Woke fuck. I hate people like you. Fuck my deck. Well, I mean, you can fuck your deck. Alexander, do you have a problem if this person chooses to fuck their deck?
I don't even know what that means, but yeah.
Deck is that like it's like the wooden thing in front of your house.
Okay. I see. Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah, you can fuck that. We have no problem if you want to fuck their deck.
It's fucking hilarious.
Funny, yeah.
Fucking hilarious.
Of course, they always get triggered. I don't know why they get so triggered. Like,
It's always the comments in caps lock that we should take very seriously.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good indicator always.
Okay, next one. 8.
Yeah, let's go.
It won't make a difference. The system won't change.
Yeah, I mean, it will. Of course, it will make a difference. How can it not? You're literally making a different choice, so of course it will make a difference. On a smaller scale, not in the big picture, but that's also not what we're here for. It will make a big change for the person who starts living vegan. It will make a big change to all those animals who are not touched by that anymore, by this person. And also I think having a vegan in your surrounding and having more vegans pop up and having them sit at your although I don't do it, but sit at your dinner table, you know, and them being just there as vegans, I think it really does something within a culture and within a society. I mean, let alone that 10 years ago, we didn't even have like this vegan label all around at the supermarket. People didn't even know what it was. And so, of course, it makes a difference. In German, we say Kleinvieh macht auch Mist, which means even small things. Small animals also poop. It means so
Oh,
it means basically even if you have hamsters, you got a shitload of work to do, you know. So
yeah.
and even if you're just one person, it will have a big effect in the end. Just look at you and I. What happened ever since we turned vegan? Well, I veganized my husband, my friends, people in my surrounding. I turned activist. I helped others to become activists. They turn people vegan now. So it's a snowball effect if you want it to be. And if people are afraid of it being not enough, then yeah, one reason more to become activist on the spot, man. What are you talking about? Let's fucking end this permacide. The fuck? Yeah. I mean, when you say it won't make a big difference, you understand clearly that this is a big issue. So let's work on it.
That's a
So,
good point. When they say it won't
danke,
make a
René.
difference, they indeed make an argument
Yeah,
for the fact that they acknowledge that it is a big problem that needs changing.
yeah.
Okay,
Renee
so
just wrote,
yeah,
it also makes a big difference for the people who live around that person. So many people have gone vegan just by me being around, not even outreaching them. And that's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. Like there are even people that I know they are not vegan, but ever since I turned vegan and they know that I'm there, they make changes in their life to become more plant-based. At least something. I mean, I'm not friends with them anymore because fuck you if you're not vegan and you're educated. I don't want to have you. But it's really nice to still see the impact on these people, even if they're not vegan.
yeah,
So,
it still
I th-
changes.
yeah.
My mom is not vegan, but she doesn't eat meat, and uh,
Yeah.
I think she eats so few animal products these days. But yeah, right. You
Yeah.
can't change people. They can only decide for themselves what they want to do, right?
Well, I'm
And
so happy to say, I'm sorry, yeah, continue. I don't want to interrupt you.
no, go on, go on. I was just gonna say how I usually tackle this argument, but go on, and then we I can say.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm so happy that my parents are vegan because they're
Fuck yeah.
dead. I'm sorry. It's such a good joke.
Ooh.
I'm so happy that they're vegan. My whole family is vegan.
Ah,
I mean, literally, my brother is vegan. So,
somebody said, Chip, I'm only vegan because you helped me. Thanks. Oh man.
oh, that's so cute. That's so nice.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice.
Um, let me put it up on there. So, what else? Oh, how I tackle this argument normally. So normally I obviously make the same argument as you, that obviously if everybody would think the same, no change would ever be made. But I also say,
Yeah,
there's 8 billion people on this planet. There's a lot of people. If one person chooses to kill 100 people every year, it makes no difference to the population of the Earth. Means nothing. But if you're one of those 100 people, it means everything
exactly.
to you. So it's the same way when you make this change. 100 animals per year may no longer be put in a slaughterhouse for you. It means nothing to the whole system, but it means everything to those animals. And of course, it's a little bit improperly named, right? Because essentially these animals are no longer brought into existence, but it means a lot to them not being brought into existence because they're not brought into an existence where they're just objectified.
Yeah, exactly. But
Um,
at least we gave them a happy life. And if we don't, they can be so thankful to be here, to be exploited by us. If it wouldn't be for us exploiting them to death, they would not even be here. Unthankful little shits, just being on the fucking grass all day, eating, not working, not paying taxes. My God, I wish I would be a cow at this point.
somebody said you are dominating, Alexandra. I can't see it anymore, but you are
I'm
dominating.
dominating.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, hit me up. Do you need something?
I don't mind. I don't care. I'm safe in my masculinity. So if you think Alexandra's dominating, hell yeah, she's awesome. Let's move on to the next argument. Some
So
of them are
wild.
so,
So wild.
Alexandra. Some of them are so insecure. that they just come and then try to insult me, but they never succeed at insulting me, like calling me
I know
gay.
it's the same
And
with me. Yeah.
often they realize that I don't mind them calling me gay, then calling me low testosterone or some shit. Like I don't even know why say that, because sadly I actually have pretty high testosterone. Sadly, because it's not good if you also have high blood pressure, which I
I
have it
see.
in my family. Whatever, it's a thing. Um,
I-
9, Alexandra, and the crux of it. Plants feel
9.
pain.
Oh
Nine
my
nine
God.
nine.
99999.
Plants feel pain. I was expecting this one to be
And
higher up,
Philippine.
but it doesn't come up as often on the street. It comes up way more often in Discord conversations.
Yeah, plants feel pain. You know, there is this one simple argument that vegans like to come up with, and I think we talked about it lately, and I don't think it's a very good argument.
Yeah, this
The
is why
one
we
that, well,
started
the
all of this. Yeah.
yeah. It's like, well, the other animals that we enslave, they eat a lot of plants. So if you want to save the plants and the animals, then you gotta be vegan either way. But when we say that, we give them an approval in their stupid argument. So when we assume that plants have feelings, we approve them in their stupidity. We wouldn't do that when it comes to any other stupid argument. When they come up with a natural fallacy, but lions, though, we know how fucking stupid. We call it out to be stupid. It's just like, bro, you're not a lion. Don't
Yeah.
just be rational for once. But when they come with plans or feelings because they feel so secure about that because of the science that they misread and misinterpret and don't understand, obviously, we try to make it easier for us sometimes. I have the feeling to continue the conversation, to just be like, okay, let's assume they have feelings. Even in that sense, you should have been vegan because of all the plants that the animals eat. But it's such a weak argument because when we would find a way where we would kill the least amount of plants, like, because we don't eat everything of these plants, but like the roots and a little bit over the roots, we don't eat that. We just eat the top of the plants. So technically, we would kill the least amount of plants
Yeah.
if we would give the rest to
The
the animals that we
scraps.
exploit. The scraps, exactly. And
Yeah.
so it's a really weak argument that also is making the animals to second degree victims because we're putting them on the same level as plants when we do that. And we just disregard their interests. Plants don't have fucking interests. I don't give a shit about it. Of course, I don't want nonsensical destruction. So I would not go out and stomp any flowers to death. I mean, they're alive and then they're dead. I get it. But I also wouldn't mind if somebody is doing that. I wouldn't freak out and say, oh my God, it's a Holocaust happening when somebody is walking on grass or stomping flowers down, because it's not the same. And I think when we want to act as lawyers with a strong
Yeah.
case, we cannot fight with weak arguments. And therefore, I would rather call out the stupidity and the unscientific reasoning than giving them that point and moving on with the conversation just to make it easier for me. I don't think that this is a good way to go. I think it's a very easy thing to say, but the other animals, they eat plants too. I did it for a long time. But the more I think about it, the less comfortable I feel with it because it just doesn't make any sense. Plants do not have a central nervous system, they don't have a brain. There is no discussion needed about it. This is about the exploitation of other animals by humans. Plants are excluded from that. It's not the issue. Plants, if you want to be a plants rights activist, care about freaking lawnmowers not being sold, care about being cut flowers not being sold, or care about people not just like gardening for fun because every year they will kill plants in the way. You know what I mean? Then we should just go out and put concrete all over the planet so that nothing grows anymore to prevent plant suffering. It's such a stupid argument, and I would not like to go down that road for sure.
So to steelman their argument, I feel like in the position when people bring up the plants feel pain argument, essentially they're creating a false equivalence. So it might be a false
Exactly.
equivalence
Exactly,
fallacy,
exactly.
because their whole thing is saying, well, I'm either killing one being that's alive or another being that's alive. But nobody's here telling you to kill a live being. Like I don't have a problem when I wash my hands and I kill bacteria, which are things that are alive. The problem is when you're killing individuals, and individuals, animals are individuals, plants aren't. And
Black Lives Matter. I'm sorry.
the confusion for a lot
Black
of
Lives
people,
Matter is, yeah, but some people are just like, yeah.
the confusion for a lot of people when it comes to plants is that they saw that one article that says plants scream, and they saw,
I know.
and
That's what I had in mind too.
yeah, which
Yeah.
is essentially they didn't really read through it. They didn't understand the process called cavitation, which is essentially just bubbles forming out. And I'm just going to say it for the people who are here and don't really understand it. It's essentially just like
Yeah.
a balloon that releases air. It makes a sound.
Yeah. It makes
Just
a
like
noise.
that.
Yeah.
A plant, when it's dehydrated, it releases air, probably in order to try to extract, to shrink so that it can use the hydration as efficiently as possible. That doesn't necessarily mean that a plant is in any shape or form a sentient being, that it feels, that it has emotions, or that it has a brain. And another thing that people, I think, that brought on this idea of people about plants is that if you play them music, they grow better, which has actually been debunked, and it's not true. So no, none of this nonsense matters. Plants are not sentient beings, and I agree with you, Alexandra. We should not go down
Double
that
down.
route. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always put it towards the end though, because I feel it's kind of like a checkmate. I feel like, yeah, plants don't have feelings. They don't have a central nervous system or a brain, and they cannot have feelings because of their structure, the way they developed defense mechanisms and the way they developed, essentially they can never have that. And also, like, hypothetically, because a lot of the times they do want to, oh, well, how do you know? How do you know? Well, I have evidence that says the opposite. They always go down that route, right? Like, well, they don't have good evidence for it. And there's also, by the way, Alexandra, a book that says even bacteria has feelings, which is even more insane.
Is it next to the B12 book?
I guess, yeah, it's next to it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like these people need a reality check. I'm gonna try
Yeah.
not using it, but I always use it at the end as a
Yeah.
checkmate. I feel like just to,
I get it.
yeah,
But you know what a better checkmate would be? Except like because honestly, I think it's something that the vegan movement should get rid of, like just like approving them in their stupidity. I think the better checkmate would be to ask them, okay, so for you, there is no difference between me plucking a flower and cutting your head off. Because when they are unable to think about other animals on that level, what about you then? Because you are also an animal, obviously, and you see yourself more on the level of other animals than of a plant, I assume. I hope so. And if you ask this question, then people what should they say? Yeah, I think there is no difference, and then they're making a fool out of themselves. Then you can just like leave them, you know? It's just like, okay, so you really think plucking a leaf from a tree and cutting your head off right here right now has the same value? Because it hasn't. Nobody is screaming and yelling and freaking out when children are playing and ripping leaves off plants or running over grass. Nobody gives a shit. People are only becoming plants rights activists when they talk to a vegan. And we gotta say them,
yeah,
don't be that stupid. Stop with the stupidity. Let's have a conversation between adults. Let's be intellectual if you can. If not, I can use simple language, no problem. But let's not use stupid arguments. Everybody knows it's stupid. Everybody knows.
yeah. They know. I think it's a form of motivated reasoning. Also, they really want to
Yeah.
believe. They're using motivated reasoning to create a false equivalence. It's a double fallacy.
Yeah, it's a double fallacy in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because they really want to believe. They really want to be in that position where, I don't know, some people, I feel like when they bring up plants feel pain, I don't know if I'm actually going to start paying attention when they bring up this argument, because if they bring, so a lot of the times I ended up in the latest conversations emphasizing that, hey, I'm not here to judge what happened in the past. My interest is what you're going to do going forward. So I wonder if a lot of people, when they bring up plants feeling pain, it is a form of defensiveness towards, yeah, you're not much better than me.
Yeah,
You
to cockwe.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering if that's what it is for some people. So I'm gonna start paying attention if they bring that up before or after. Because if they bring it up before, then it could be that, and I'm like, well, it's I don't
Yeah.
care. Listen, man, I don't care. I don't care what you did in the past. We all did shitty things in the past. It's about doing better in the future. Nobody's here to judge.
Yeah.
Um, Master Dave says, I had someone the other day tell me a chicken has the same intelligence as a flower.
Well, maybe that person had the same intelligence as a flower. I can also say that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I completely agree with you. Okay, and 10, copy it, put it here in the text. Number 10, the last one, and then I have an extra one. I need meat for nutrition. You know, it's healthy to eat meat.
okay. Well, that's your one to debunk. That's your one to debunk.
Well, it's pretty simple, really. No, you do not. We do not like the source of the ingredients does not matter. The ingredients do not matter. What matters is the nutrition that goes into your mouth hole and reaches your stomach. At the end of the day, your stomach does not care where it came from. All it does is it breaks down all that chemicals that are in there, breaks them down, and tries to extract nutrition from them. If there's a chemical that they don't know what to do with, they just pass it along and you poop it out. Depending on what it is. Of course, if it's very high in certain minerals, like I think heme iron is one of them, it can potentially be bad for you. So there are certain micronutrients that are not good in heavier doses or in combination with other micronutrients. But at the end of the day, those are not specific to a plant-based diet. Those are specific to any type of diet. And on a plant-based diet, you can just get everything you need. And this isn't an opinion. This is scientifically based evidence. It's established science, so much so that pretty much any governmental body you will look in the world, they have a health section where they describe what the best diet is for you. And pretty much everywhere they encapsulate, nowadays they also talk about the vegan diet and they tell you how to do it, not that
Yeah,
that you can't.
exactly. Also, I haven't eaten meat ever since I was 13, so still here.
23.
How did I do that? I must be a witch then.
23 for me. Yeah, so it's been more
Yeah.
than 15 years, almost 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah, more than 20 years for me. Yeah.
It's we don't need it. It's so insane that they think that
Yeah.
we do. Felix says, how would you deal with people who don't trust science about vegan nutrition?
You reply? I mean,
How would I deal with people who don't trust science? Well, if you're not going to trust science, I usually try to explain to them what the pyramid of evidence is and why you should trust science and why it can seem like science is difficult to trust because you see some of these bottom of the pyramid of evidence type of studies and then you say, well, one, destroys the other. But it's not. They're really just better studies coming out. So that's the thing. The reason why you can't trust science is because it changes. It's not stubborn. Science is not, it's not like religion where it's you have to do this. Why? It makes no sense. It just has to be this way, right? So you can't trust science because it changes, because it adapts according to new information. That's one reason to trust science. But if you really can't trust science, then, well, at least trust the fact that there are millions of vegans out there who manage to make it work. There are several vegan athletes who have outperformed everyone in their field. For example, there's recently a woman power lifter who broke the record for deadlift in her category. The problem is the reason why we don't see a lot more vegan athletes is because a small percentage of people are vegan, thus a small percentage of athletes will also be vegan. So obviously it's not always going to happen. Yeah. And being the best at any sport is not only about diet, it's about much more than that, right? Like I have a great diet and I just everybody has a limit on how much they can lift. My squat is just never going to be great, but we have a vegan, Val, who's is another vegan from Discord. He can lift 3 times his body weight when it comes to squatting, which is insane. So that's like elite level, and he's not even elite, like he's not a professional or something. So it's about so much more. So if you think about it logically, it only makes sense that there is no difference if you contrast science. But yeah, if you contrast science, what the hell are we doing even talking? Okay, David says that Turbo wrote, if exploitation didn't result in harm, then it wouldn't be disagreeable. So don't play semantics.
On what?
So if exploitation didn't result in harm, then it wouldn't be disagreeable. So don't play semantics.
I don't get it. There can be exploitation without harm.
Yeah.
It would still be bad. So
Yeah, exploitation means unfair usage. It's the simplest description. It's not about causing harm. Let me think of an example of exploitation where there's no harm.
I do have.
Please.
Okay, so I will use an example with me to just make it very vivid. Okay, so if I would go out, I don't drink alcohol, but if I would go out and drink alcohol and get super drunk and I get into a cab on my way home and I passed out because somebody slipped me like these drops in my drink and whatever, and then I pass out and I don't feel anything and I cannot move and nobody can wake me up, and the cab driver notices that and it's just like, well, that's so nice for me right now. And then he's using me for his own benefit, like grapes me and whatever. And then the next day, I wake up in my own bed. I don't even know how I got there. Who knows? And I wake up and I don't remember. I don't feel anything. My body is not harmed. I don't have pain whatsoever. I don't have psychological pain. I will never know what happened to me. So for me, there is literally no harm. Physically not, mentally not, none at all. Like the woman in Paris who was raped by her husband and other men for years because he slipped her something in her drink. You know, she didn't know about that for years. So for her, there was no harm until she noticed that it happened. And so, of course, you can exploit others without harming them, without them even knowing it. You know, let me give you another example, even better. Let's assume a man goes onto the playground in his neighborhood and he has a secret spy camera with him and he's just going around and taking images of these children playing there, maybe a little bit closer, maybe it's summer, the girls are wearing skirts, maybe he puts his camera under the skirt. They don't even know that he was doing that. He's going home selling these things on the dark net.
God.
You know, he was taking pictures of them, but it was not in their interest. It was not fair. It is unfair usage. And so it's exploitative, even when the children don't know nothing about that, what is happening with these images, or that they even exist, you know? So there can be exploitation without harm. And it always depends on the context, you know? I mean, you can go out and take pictures of animals and make a documentary about it and earn money with it too. Would be a fair usage because it's in the interest of the animal that people learn more about them and get a better connection to these animals and understand them more. So it's really depending if it's in their interest or if you just solely use someone as a means to an end. And that's literally the thing about it. So harm is not a part of exploitation. In most cases, it is, but you can also harm someone outside of exploitation. I mean, there's cruelty towards animals in contexts where we don't exploit them. I mean, I could go into the woods and punch a deer in the face and just go home again. It would be very cruel and unnecessary. It would not be exploitative, maybe in the widest sense, because I was doing it for pleasure. I don't know. It's a little bit shady in that era. But overall, harm and exploitation is not linked necessarily to each other.
Yeah. Appeal to harm. So
René was danke René, danke. René was also messaging. Big issue is also an animal love messaging. There's people who went vegan who don't care for animals whatsoever, but just want to be fair. By suggesting one has to love animals to begin with, we limit reach. Completely true. I mean, it helps if you love them. I mean, I do love animals.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, really helps a lot.
I love animals now. I didn't love animals before being vegan. I turned vegan without loving animals. And even today,
Yeah.
I love animals conceptually more than anything. I don't want to have animals around me necessarily, but I also don't want to have humans around me. So I don't know. I'm just like more of a lone
Mm.
person. Vegan Felek asks, also on top of your 10th point, some people agree that vegans can be healthy, but they also say, but meat has more dot dot dot. I know you would refute
Oh.
this, but I wonder how Alexandra would.
Well, is it about the Bioverfügbarkeit, the bioavailability of the protein or whatever?
They always like, I need meat for nutrition, so they always go like, yeah, you can be healthy on a vegan, but they make this argument that you would be better if you weren't vegan.
Oh, okay, I see. Well, I always say to the people, well, because I'm not a nutritionist, so I don't go very deep into that. Also because I don't want to talk about food. I really
Yeah.
don't care about it. I honestly I could not care less. But what I say to these people is, you know what the mistake of most vegans is when they go vegan is that they don't eat enough, because in general the average plant-based diet has, of course, less calorie than the average animal-based diet, simply because there are more calorie-dense foods like those products from animal exploitation. And so I always say to them, well, if you don't eat enough calories, that will be a problem, yes. But other than that, you can get your nutrients even more dense, depending on the products that you eat from plant-based products, of course. And if it would be for human flesh, which has the biggest bio, how do you say? Well, it's the best for us
Bioavailability.
to bioavailability, yeah.
Yeah.
Human flesh, which has the best bioavailability, it would not be a reason for me to slaughter humans right now, just because that would be the best. It doesn't mean that the rest is shit. That's a false conclusion you draw there. So just because something is better than something else doesn't mean the other thing is bad. It's not true. So that's how I reply.
Yeah, plus bioavailability. I know a lot of people bring this up. I mean, not a lot, but some people bring it up, and it's just so not. It's just a cop out. It's nothing more than that, because the reality is bioavailability doesn't matter nearly as much as we claim it does. There's other things that matter way more in your nutrition, especially if you want to reach peak performance or being an athlete. So it's such a weird thing to claim, and I do like that, because essentially you're right. Our body takes all the nutrients in and produces our muscles, our flesh. So essentially our flesh will have everything we need. So we could just eat our own flesh if that's really, well, maybe not our own, but of another human beings. So yeah.
And then we have the Kannibale from Rothenburg, Arvin Maives, which is a famous German guy who ate the dick of another guy consensually, and he is still in prison right now,
It's
and
weird.
they won't let them out, and he turned at least vegetarian. I think I can turn him vegan, and I'm trying to get him to an interview at some point in my life. I really, really need to interview him and to make him vegan.
Somebody
I'm sure
strawmanned
he
your
would understand.
argument, Alexandra. So it's 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I just watched a vegan say date rape isn't harmful. This is wild.
Okay, not understanding the argument. It was not in the interest of the person being raped, so it's unfair and it's not good, it's not ethical. But to say that somebody is harmed by that when there is clearly no evidence of any harm, when they don't even know about that,
Yeah.
there is just no harm done.
Yeah,
They
like
don't
there
feel
can.
harmed, they're physically not harmed. There are two types of harm that you can endure, it's mentally or physically. And when none of that happens, there is no harm. I don't know how else to say it. It's wrong, of course, but it's still something that is not necessarily linked to each other. You can exploit someone without harming them.
Yeah,
Of course you can.
there's no physical or emotional pain, and if this person doesn't realize it, essentially there's no harm being done to them. Indeed, like if somebody does something to my body while I'm asleep and I wake up without knowing, there's no harm being done to me. Like, or I may not be aware of it, so that means I don't feel any harm. But the exploitation was still done to me. It's, of course, these words, like harm, pain, exploitation, all of these, they're just so. If you draw a Venn diagram of all of these words, they have so many things in common, and they have way less things
That's
not in
true.
common, right? So we're talking about like such edge cases and things that are so outside. But the point of this isn't to, like, I feel when people try to strawman it and make us seem absurd, it's just a ridiculous position. It's also kind of like an ad hominem, because the reality is we're just we're trying to explain that there are positions where you can cause exploitation without harm. So it's not necessarily about the harm, it's about the exploitation. And
Yeah.
when it comes to animals, we all know you can farm them without harming them. We all know you can bring them into existence, give them quote unquote a good life, and then cut their throat instantly, or chop their head, or shoot them in the head, or whatever, and they may not feel the pain. But that does not make it okay to happen. That's what we're saying. So it's
I
not about,
also think
yeah.
Yeah, I also think the word harm, it's really depending on from which perspective you're using it. So if I'm harming someone, it means I'm doing something unfair, something unjust towards someone. But I think if I'm thinking of it as the victim, am I being harmed? That means that I subjectively experience the harm. But if there's nothing I experience and I don't even know about, then of course I'm not being harmed. Like, how could I say that? But if I know about what happened, then of course I was being harmed, because then mentally I feel harmed, and if not physically in that sense. So I think it's also important to see from which perspective we're using that word.
Renee says, example, if Chip was traumatized by tickling as a child, I hate tickling so much, and you tickle him in his sleep, he won't ever know, and it won't cause any harm. But it's still unjust because there was no consent. Yeah. Well put, Renee. Well put. I mean, and I also had crop deaths, Alexandra. That was the last one.
Mm.
Um, and I'll
Yeah.
just put it not even as I'll put it as a bonus, crop deaths. Because I think this is also one of the reasons why we even got together today to discuss all of this. So how do you
Yeah.
feel about crop deaths?
Well, crop deaths is a different form. It's a different context of harm. It is
Yeah.
like in the human context, we differentiate between murder, accident, suicide, homicide. I don't know, you name it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the same, and it makes a difference in how we judge these incidents and situations. And in the context of other animals, it's the same. Like, we are not putting, for example, like, we are not mowing down these plants to mow down the animals at the same time who are not able to escape. We are not doing that. That is not the way we want this to happen. When we plant plants, when we grow plants to eat them, we do that because we want plants to eat. But when we bring animals into existence to exploit them to death, we do that because this is what we want to do. Oh, I think my camera will drop down in a second. Never mind. Um, and so I think it's a little bit different, like the context in which these things happen, and the situation of the other animals is that we want to exploit them. Therefore, we bring them here to exploit them. This is what we want to do. Otherwise, we would not have these products from them or the services from them or whatsoever. Like, let's not only talk about the food. Let's talk about all these things where we exploit other animals: food, clothing, entertainment, testing, pet breeding industry, transport, what so on. Okay. And we bring these animals just here to exploit them, and we use them as a means to an end. But when we plant plants, that's what we want to do. Of course, on the way to get these plants, there might be incidents that are not good for other animals, like pesticides or whatsoever. But that's not our intent. That's not why we're doing it, And so I think it's a very weak argument as well. For me, it's the same as plants have feelings in a way,
Yeah, it is very
because
similar.
it's very, very similar on the level of intellect, I guess. Um, and so we can say that, yes, you know what, you're right. It's bad that it happens. I don't want crop deaths, man. I'm a vegan. What do you think? The fuck are you like? Of course, I don't want this to happen. I want a world where animals are treated fairly, where they have a good life, where they're not dying or being crushed or being gassed or being chopped off or being whatever. But at this point, when there is no other way to get to plants than to do that, um, then this is what we got to do. Still, these animals are not exploited. So it's not part of our issue. But I also think a vegan world would strive towards finding solutions where we not have to do that to other animals to protect our crops. Hence, vertical permacultures, for example, which is a big thing. And you can grow them all year round indoors, no soil, no pesticides, just the least amount of water you can get, and everything is flourishing. The insects are flourishing within that too because you have a permaculture. Everything is great, so why not doing that? And I think there are solutions for that, but there is no solution to the problem of animals being exploited because we cannot get products from animal exploitation without exploiting animals. And that's the issue. That's the vegan issue. Veganism is about the exploitation of animals.
Yeah,
That's that.
it is. And I feel like a lot of people don't really understand that. Like, hence why Turbo kept asking, if there's no harm, then why would the exploitation be bad? Turbo, exploitation is bad because it's wrong to exploit. It's wrong to treat somebody unfairly, regardless if that somebody feels it, understands it or not. It's not about, like, it's just wrong to exploit. It's wrong to see that victim as an object, to objectify them. Exploitation is about objectification. Can there be exploitation without objectification? I don't think there can. I think exploitation is a form of objectification. So when you see animals as, well, I don't really care who they are or what they want. I don't really care about them. I want to feel good about my choices. Therefore, I'll say that, well, they're not harmed or something, because that's essentially when people bring up this exploitation without harm situation. You just really want to feel good about your choice. But at the end of the day, your choice can be to not cause any form of exploitation to them, to not cut their throats, to not see them like an object, to not treat them like an object, because you don't need to.
Well, well, it's defined like this. When you use someone to achieve a goal, it doesn't necessarily mean that the use is a bad thing if they also benefit from it as much as you do. If it's a fair deal, just translate it to if it's a fair deal, it's no exploitation. So, but when you use someone to achieve a goal, but it's only benefiting you and not them, it's an unfair deal, it's an unfair usage, it's not in their interest whatsoever.
And
And
if
even though if there would be no harm, yeah, you can still use someone to achieve a goal that only benefits you, even if you're not harming them. What are we talking about? Of course we can exploit vulnerable people who won't even recognize that they're exploited. They're incapable of understanding that they're exploited, let alone little children. When the I'm sorry, but when the uncle comes and plays with a little child and is like touching them in space and they don't even know that this is a bad thing, you know what I mean? It's not harming them actively. They maybe have even fun with it. Have you ever heard about rape victims who orgasm and they feel so ashamed? Like, you know what I mean? It's a really, really tough thing to think that exploitation is necessarily linked to harm, because it's not. And you can exploit someone if it's, let me phrase it like this, if it's only exploitation when there is harm, oh boy, that would mean that a lot of exploitation would be valid because it's not harming someone.
Yeah, I mean, I personally believe even if it's beneficial to the person, um, if you're doing it for your own interest, like the reason why you're doing it, if you're like, even if everybody wins in the situation, but you're doing it specifically for your interest, then it's wrong. Because you're like you're doing something to somebody without their consent, and you're not doing it for their interest. It just happens that their interests align. Like, it can happen that their interests align, but that's not the case in animal agriculture, almost never. That's the reality, like, as much as we want to imagine it. But even if it were, I still would see it as you're still looking after your own interests. Take, for instance, if I have a child and if I send my child to a certain private school or something, right? Obviously, it would be good for the child. But if I do it to further my own career, because maybe there's another parent there that's famous or something, like we've seen plenty of this kind of shit in movies. I don't have a child or something. And if I want to do it specifically for that purpose so that I can talk to that famous person or so that I can further my career, even if the child benefits from it, it's still immoral because I'm not doing it for the child. I'm using the child to further my benefit. Even if the child benefits also from it, I'm using them. And using somebody is wrong. Because none of us want to be used. Even when people use us and we benefit from it, nobody likes to be used. That's the reality. So, yeah, that's why it's
if it's
wrong.
an unfair, yeah, I would still add if it's an unfair deal, because sometimes being used is something that people want, something people find it
But that's
okay, some
consensual,
people.
right?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true, that's true. But still, some people can't give consent and we still do things to them or use them,
For their
and it's
interest.
still not necessarily. There are so many edge cases. That's why it's very hard to put it to pinch it down with a few words always all the time. But there are, of course, let me give you one example. There are parents out there who have disabled children, and then there's doctors who ask for those specific children for a case study so they can find meds in the future. Maybe they won't find a med even for this child, but then the parents go and bring that child to the study, being part of it, risking, of course, some things, but helping other children in the future who have the same fate as their disabled child, maybe. I mean, we have these cases out there, and so the child cannot consent. It might not be even in their interest, but in the long run, it is still justifiable in the
But it's
human
still immoral.
context,
It's
It is,
justifiable.
yeah,
I've
the thing is that these edge cases are very hard to discuss
yeah,
because there are so many parameters and so
yeah.
many things we gotta take into consideration. But when it comes to the animals that we exploit, it is so freaking clear. And so about the edge cases, let's not hang up on this. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree with you. When it comes to the edge cases, the lines tend to be blurred. So let's not focus on
Yeah.
the edge cases. Let's focus on the clear fact that the animals we farm are exploited for our benefit. And
Yeah.
even when farmers look after the interests of the animal, then they don't do it to look after their interest. They do it because either customers pay for it more or customers demand it, or because it
Yeah.
yields a better product or whatever. Like even when the animal has a better life, it's not for the interest of the animal, it's for the interest of the product. So
Yeah, of
also,
course. Like a sick animal won't make you money, right? So you got to
yeah.
keep them healthy and happy and stuff. So of course, that's it seems like it's in their interest. Oh, we're giving them such a good life. Oh, but in the end, it's only because it benefits us even more. So, yeah.
Alexandra, I know
Yeah.
it's been 2 hours, so we gotta end this. You have things to do. I have things to do.
Yeah.
We do have a person here who's very triggered that we didn't answer any of their questions. Who just essentially mentioned crop deaths and all the other stuff, calling our diet unsustainable. A deer less is one death, but eating an avocado means multiple death.
Oh my God.
There's no people in the UFC. There's no vegan people in UFC. What's barbaric is to guilt trip people who wanting to be healthy or own human beings. So we saw your comments, Mr. MMA arborist.
I
We're
didn't
just
see
well, I
really.
saw your comments. I just chose to ignore them because they're kind of stupid. Sorry, silly. Let's say silly. They're not really stupid, but they're not really good arguments. And if you want, just scroll back down because we tackled 10 of the most common used arguments against veganism, and maybe you'll learn something about it. Worst case scenario, you may not become vegan, but at least you'll know how to talk to a vegan next time because you'll know how we reply to your arguments already. So yeah.
Yeah.
Alexandra, thank you so much for being here. Everybody, if you don't know Alexandra, I already pinned her channel. Please subscribe to her. She does amazing work. She's the best designer, the best vegan designer in the business. Well, she's the best vegan designer in the business. She designed all the signs. Alexandra's impact is beyond her channel and what we know. She does a lot of amazing work.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. There will also be a lot of new content the next year. I'm very, very quiet at the moment due to all the updates that I'm doing and due to just like working constantly on a website design and stuff. But there's a lot of things coming your way. Um, and so I just wanted to show one thing. I only have it printed in German, but it doesn't matter. I do have a free outreach guide. So for everyone who wants to do vegan activism and doesn't know how to have like to hold a conversation, like to talk to non-vegans in a proper way. That's at the moment my best work when it comes to that. It's free. I will drop you the link, Chip, and you can also put it in the comment, or I will just comment on the live stream and pin it, I guess. And that's the easiest way for people to get it. There you can download it. I also have it as an audio book on my channel, but it's in German, but maybe with subtitles if you want to just like have it explained to you. Other than that, you can just like read through it. It shows you just like like it's also very nicely designed, I have to say. It was
It
really, really
does look
fun
really
for me.
nice.
Yeah,
I
and
like
it
white text on dark background. It's
yeah, me too, me too. And it also like it shows you just like simple strategies, very easy. Also with very simple, here are the 5 questions you can ask in this situation and stuff. And so look through it. It's for free as usual. Everything that I bring out is for free to use for other activists
nice.
to be the best activists that we can be. It was very, very cool for being here. Thank you so much for having me. And one last thing I wanted to say actually. I do have a new outreach approach that I want to try next year, but I still don't have a good idea for the sign. So maybe you can help me with that. So my
Can do that, yeah.
idea is that I want to talk with people about what was their worst moment in their life, like when did they feel the worst, what hurt the most, when did they feel helpless or like really powerless, when did they feel alone, isolated, what was the worst moment of your life and how did you feel back then,
I
and then
like
bring
that.
it back to the other animals, because most of the time it's very similar. Like when most people will probably say, oh, when I lost my mom, when I lost my whatsoever, that was the hardest time. Okay, so how do you think then that these mothers feel when they lose their children every year? You know what I mean? And the dairy
Yeah.
industry specifically. So, and I want to bring it back to that, but I don't know the science. If you have any idea for that, let me know.
Yeah, yeah. We can chat. I have some ideas in my head now, but we can chat about it.
Nice. Very
How
nice.
can people contact you? How can people like I mentioned your YouTube channel, but on YouTube people can't really contact you. Is there any way that people can get in touch with you if they have suggestions, if they have questions to you, because you
Um,
do such a great job?
Well, thank you. Well, on my YouTube channel, there is my Instagram linked and everything else. And on Instagram, I'm pretty active, so you can drop me a DM there for sure. I also have my website linked there for Richtig Laut Vegan, which is it's not only a podcast, but it started as a podcast. But at this point, we are becoming a big brand, shitting out different activism forms and stuff. So it's growing really big, which is nice. Um, and yeah, you can contact me through that too, through email, whatever you please.
And before we go, we're gonna end it. And before we go, I see there's a couple non-vegans who still don't get the point, so I'll explain it one last. Or maybe Alexandra, would you like to explain veganism one last time for the people who are new right now in the stream before we go?
Yes, yes. Hello, everyone listening to me. My name is Alex, and I will explain to you veganism now. So, veganism is the ethical principle that humans should live without exploiting other animals. And that's that. And when we agree with that, when we think, man, that sounds like a good thing, the world should be like this, then as a conclusion of that, we don't eat them, we don't wear them, we don't test on them, we don't use them for transport, for testing, for anything else. We just stop using animals as a means to an end. And why should we do that, you ask? Because they're just animals. Man, they're not human. Why should we do that? Well, it's because those differences that you have in mind right now to use as a justification for that, they don't matter. It doesn't matter how someone looks, walks, talks, how tall someone is, how intelligent someone is, what eye color, what skin color, what hair color. It doesn't fucking matter. But what matters is what we have in common with these other animals, which is, oh, you got it right, is our subjective experience of the world. It is our own interests that we want to be protected. And the biggest interest is the interest in our own life. Like we're not waking up and thinking, "Oh, I would love to be stabbed to death. I would love to be eaten alive. Oh, I would love that. Please take my children away from me. Please put your entire arm into my ass to put semen of a bull inside of me." Like cows don't think that. I don't think that. Nobody thinks that. Okay. So when we understand that there is no relevant difference between us and other animals that could justify the difference in treatment, then of course, as logical, grown up, reasonable people, we go vegan, we stop with the bullshit, we stop with the excuses, we just act as normal grown-ups, and that's that. That's
I
veganism in a nutshell.
I love it. Thank you, Alexandra, for that. People were asking me why I was flexing during this, to see that you can also
Because
be
you can.
strong. Yeah, you can be.
Because you can.
Also because I can, but I find it kind of cringe when I do, but I do it so that at the same time you can not bring up arguments that you can't build muscle or some nonsense,
Yeah.
because you can.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Remember to subscribe to my channel. Remember to subscribe to Alexandra's channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Alexandra, you'll have to click end stream on your end to end your stream.
Oh yeah, I will do that. I will do that. And also, guys, something for the German people. Heute oh my God, I just zoomed in on my face. Nobody needs that. Heute 17:30 Uhr, also in etwas mehr als einer Stunde, werde ich live auf unserem richtig laut vegan Server sein. Richtig laut vegan, ja! Das heißt also, ihr kommt da alle hin. Ich habe dann eine Live-Debatte. I just said I have a live debate at 5:30 today, and you can join on our server, richtig laut vegan, German server. I will have a debates there, so let's see. And yeah, see you in roughly an hour, I guess. Wir sehen uns in einer Stunde, Leute.
How do you say?
Erscheinen Sie, sonst weinen Sie. Vielen Dank für Speis und Trank.
Okay. Auf Wiedersehen.
Stuff right now.
Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen.
Nein.
Nein.
Tschüss. Bye.
You have to click end broadcast, by the way, on your end.
I had it.
Oh,
Yeah,
you hit it? Oh, I didn't.